Good morning, students. Good morning, parents. Welcome to EdukaShow, and today we're going to be working with geography class. Today it's our third class, and today we're going to be working with climate and vegetation maps, following our course in regards of what is the different kinds of maps. And for today, we're going to be starting off with climate and vegetation maps, of course. The climate maps, as you can see in our slide number 20, a climate map shows the climatic characteristics of a region. Remember, weather is different from climate. Weather is daily, and climate, it's over the long term, right? In the case of our vegetation maps, you're going to find in that map, for example, a natural vegetation map show what plants grow in areas that have not been altered significantly by human activity. So vegetation is closely tied to climate. And there you can see two maps in that slide. And on the left, you're going to be looking at the vegetation with the climate. And this is, this is just going to be the map of the climate. And over there, you're going to be looking at how Africa has a different type of climate, and it's shown in that slide, it's that in that image. And in the other case, you're looking at Africa's vegetation in the right map with the vegetation map, which of course it has its own legend also, and every single color represents different kind of vegetation in that map. So very interesting and very important. Every time you see a map that has these characteristics or these features, therefore you're going to know right there that we're talking about a vegetation map. In our next slide number 21, we have the special purpose maps. And of course, these special purpose maps are always designed to show a specific type of information. For example, religions. This map, the map from the top, is going to be showing how the various religions of the world are distributed. So of course, you're going to find also a legend located to the left of the Mappa Mundi. And you're going to find all of those colors that will represent how world religions are distributed. In the case of the map from the bottom, we're going to be looking at the world's official languages. So that map shows how the various official languages of the world are distributed. So that makes it really interesting, and that makes it really cool. When you look at maps like that, you're going to start thinking and start analyzing how different types of situations in the world are happening while you study geography in this particular cases. So this is going to be really interesting and really fun, especially for you guys who want to learn about the world and want to know more about what's happening right there. In our next slide number 22, we've got economic activity map. So look at the map for a moment, and you're looking at China. That is, of course, the map of China. An economic activity map show how countries use their resources to produce goods and services. If you look at the map, if I'm going to make you a question right now, I'm going to be asking you, where's the most of the manufacturing take place in China? Of course, look at those circles, and you got an oval, red oval, and you've got a blue circle or oval to the left, and the red one is to the right. And over there, of course, in this map, you do have a legend. And if you see the legend, you're going to find that in the east, there's a lot of manufacturing, or where most of the manufacturing of China takes place. And the main economic activity of Western China is, of course, nobody hurting. Look at those maps and just draw your own conclusions. Very simple, very easy. So take into account and write it down. Economic activity map show how countries use their resources to produce goods and services. Take notes. If you need to fast forward or rewind the video, you can do it. Next, slide number 23, we've got our contour maps. And what is a contour maps? Well, contour maps, also called topographic maps, they use isolines to connect areas of equal elevation. Isolines can also be used on weather maps to show areas of the same temperature or air pressure. And just look first of all at the map from the bottom, and you're looking at a weather map over there which has isolines. And these lines are showing different areas of pressure. Air pressure, how heavy the air is at that particular place. But it has to do with a lot of phenomena that we're going to be looking at later on. So this is very helpful, first of all, talking about the map from the bottom. This is very helpful for all of those people who work in airplanes. Also, people who work in the Navy, people who work in the military, and people who work flying planes. Right? Now, let's look at the diagram from the right. And you've got, on the left of that, isolines. And below those, you got numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And to the right of that, you've got A, B, C, D, E, and F for some stuff that actually looks like shapes. Well, the mission right now, or your task to see how smart you are, is to tell me which number it's related to each of those shapes. If you could draw like a line, and I'm gonna be sending you this file so that you can get this information and you can do this exercise, which is gonna be the first part of your homework of today. Number 1 is related to which shape? A, B, C, D, E, or F? How about number 2? Look at them for a moment and draw your own conclusions and match them. Alright? So I'm going to be sending you guys this. You're going to find it in a link below, contour maps. So this is very helpful to know exactly how elevated some place is, or some area in a map. By using these lines, it makes our job easier, especially when we're going to be exploring places, right? Excellent. If you guys have any questions, remember to leave them down in the comments. Now, next up, we're going to move on to our slide number 24. And in our slide number 24, you're going to find mental maps. Maps of the mind, right? So mental maps are our mind's representation of how something looks. It may be the earth, it may be our house, the mall, the school, or most any place we go. So why would we be using this kind of maps? Well, you can use some mental maps to carry out daily activities, for example, route to school, shopping. Also very important to give directions to others, to understand world events, ways mental maps can be developed and refined. You can also use it to compare sketch maps to maps in atlases or other resources, describing the location of places in terms of reference points. For example, the equator or the prime meridian, which we saw before. The mental maps can also be very useful for describing the location of places in terms of geographic features and landforms. For example, west of the Mississippi River, north of the Gulf of Mexico, and describing the location of places in terms of the human characteristics of a place. For example, languages, types of housing, dress, recreation, customs, and traditions. So if you look at the images or the diagrams shown in this slide, you're gonna find that at the top of that, you're gonna find how a child may see the world in their mind, right? And at the bottom, you're gonna find another map that says how an adult may see the world in their mind. Of course, if you compare those, the adult mental map, it's much more complex because there's a lot more of details. However, they both fulfill the objective of portraying mentally, in this particular case, the world or the continents, right? So look at that for a moment. Now we're going to move on to our next slide. We're going to go for slide number 25. And we're going to be doing a very quick review of our first 3 classes. Chapter 1, the world in spatial terms. Latitude and longitude, we saw, and hemispheres. So if you guys remember, a hemisphere is half of the Earth, and there are 4. You've got the northern, southern, eastern, and western. The northern and southern hemispheres are divided by the equator. The eastern and western hemispheres are divided by the prime meridian. You can look at the map from the top and you got the compass rose, which allows us to know where north, south, east, and west is located. The absolute location is an exact location of the Earth's surface, usually found using latitude and longitude. In the case of the relative location, of course, is a location given in relation to another place. My house is by the mall, or I could say the mall is by the freeway. Absolute location would be just to say exactly where something is located. If you guys have any questions, just go ahead and write it down in the comments section below. And remember to take notes. If you need to pause the video, please go ahead and pause that. Next, slide number 26, we saw places and regions. Place, of course, if you guys remember, a particular space with physical and human meaning. Regions, areas that share unifying factor. It could be physical features, language, culture, or other things. A formal region is an area united by specific factor. The functional regions are a central place and the surrounding are linked to it like a highway system. So in the case of the particular physical regions, you're going to find, for example, the Sahara, taiga, rainforest, Great Plains, low countries. In the case of the language, you're going to find Latin America and the Francophone world, for example. Ethnic, Chinatowns, Kurdistan. Religion, couple of examples, Islam and Buddhism. Economic, wheat belts, European Union. And in the case of the political organizations or functional regions, you're going to find, for example, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is the NATO. And you've got, of course, the African Union, for example. Right. Next, slide number 27. The physical systems, they interact with plant and animal life to create, support, or change ecosystems. And the meaning of an ecosystem, of course, is a community of plants and animals that depend upon one another and their surroundings for survival. The case of the human systems, how people shape the world, environment, and society, that's the interrelationship between people and their physical environment. The uses of geography, of course, there are many uses. Geography can be used for government, can be used for business, it can be used for environmental groups, for planning, for doing almost everything. Very, very, very important. Now we're going to move on to our slide number 28, and over here we're going to find in our slide number 28 that the geographer's craft. In the case of the physical geography, of course, is the study of the Earth's physical features. It looks at climate, weather, plants, and animal life. Human geography, of course, is the study of human activity and their relationship to the cultural and physical environments. It includes political, economic, and cultural factors like population density, urban development, economic production, and ethnicity. Meteorology is the study of the weather and the weather forecasting. And you look at over there, the first image, the physical geography, everything that has to do with the physical characteristics of the Earth. In the second one, everything that has to do with the humans. And in the fourth one, the meteorology, is study of weather and weather forecasting. This includes everything that has to do with the sun, with the weather, storms, situations that may be changing according to all of this regular phenomena. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Geographers at work. There are many ways that a geographer can actually gain their information to start study about geography. For example, you've got the direct observation. It's going out and looking at what you're studying. And mapping, of course, doing maps, which is called cartography, that is map making. You can also get a lot of information by interviewing a primary source, which is to find out how people think or feel about certain places. Statistics, it's collecting numerical information on climate, census, population characteristics, etc. And in the case of the technology, you can get the geographic information systems, which are computer tools that organize data and satellite images with other pieces of information gathered by scientists. And on the first picture right there, we're looking at a very interesting person. Why do you think it's interesting? What is he or she wearing? What's happening in that picture? What kind of expression do you think that is? Or is it an expression? And at the bottom, you're looking at some geographers which are doing some measurements. They're making use of technology right there, probably measuring elevation changes, probably measuring vegetation, probably measuring pressure, probably taking pictures of animals, probably they're just, maybe taking part of National Geographic Society people, maybe taking video and images of, animals in the Sahara or Africa, maybe even in the United States, who knows? But they're making use of a lot of technology. And they look like they belong to the same group of people, perhaps, because they're wearing the same clothes, right? What else can you tell me about that picture if you would analyze that one? Describe in one line in your piece of paper or notebook what's happening in the first picture, and then in another line in your notebook, describe what's happening in the next and final picture. You can pause the video so that we can keep going with this course, and then do that, and then continue again. Slide number 30, geography and other disciplines. History and government. Geographers use history to help understand what places were like in the past. Of course, very interesting. This is super important to know exactly, to recreate the history. History is directly linked to geography. Geography is also directly linked to history. So this is very important to know. So it makes it even more interesting still when you find out that history and geography are interrelated. They are connected. Incredible. Culture. Sociology and anthropology help geographers understand the culture of societies throughout the world. Economics, of course, they help geographers understand how nations use their resources. Therefore, if we understand how the nations use their resources, Therefore, geographers can make maps and start doing some research or analysis, and then maybe we can know in the future where to go or what to do, where to invest the money. It's becoming a bigger world, and we have a lot of interconnection between all of the countries, which is called globalization. Therefore, we depend on different countries for many, many things. And finally, geography as a career. So this is super cool and super important. There are various careers related to geography, such as meteorology, government, education, and over here, of course, as I told you before, since, for example, history and geography are linked, you can find a lot of careers related to those sciences that, they're pretty well paid and they're pretty specific. So, you're going to become, if you study one of these, you're going to become very well paid, and of course, you're going to be doing a job that not a lot of people is doing right now. So you can see in the first picture to the top, you're looking at some probably archaeologists. They are working with bones. So what do you think they're doing? In one line in your notebook, just tell me, what do you think they're doing? Just one line. What do you think is happening over there in that picture? What are they working on? What do you think they're working on? Why do you think there are bones in the table? Right? What's happening in the background? There are a couple of diagrams or frames or pictures right there. There's a map, of course, behind. I just saw it. Did you see it? Can you see it? How about the one from the front? What's happening over there? And finally, in the picture from the bottom, tell me in one line, write down in one line in your notebook, what's happening in that image? If you could describe it, what do you think that is? And why do you think we or I included that in the picture? What is it showing? Look with a lot of detail and tell me what's happening over there. Can you see the differences? Can you see what's on the background, what's on the bottom? One line in your notebook, and we're gonna stop right here. Thank you very much, students. Thank you very much, parents. My name is Teacher Ike, and I'll see you guys here in EdukaShow for our next Friday. We will continue with this incredible geography course, and I hope you guys do the homework. If you have any questions, leave them here in the comments below, and the file for the homework of matching the different elevation changes is going to be located at the description of this file. I hope you guys have a great weekend, study, and always listen to your parents. Thank you so much for being here. Subscribe to that button, hit the like button, and click on the little bell so that you can get all notifications from EdukaShow. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Bye bye.